everyone, and welcome to our deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about protein folding.
Yeah, protein folding.
Yeah, protein folding.
It's really fascinating stuff. We've got this awesome YouTube video from Quantum Magazine, and it's called How AI Cracked the Protein Folding Code and Won a Nobel Prize.
It's a great video.
So yeah, we're going to talk about what proteins are, why their folding is such a big deal, and how AI is like totally changing the game.
It's crazy to think about it, but like proteins are these tiny machines that make life possible.
Right.
They're in every single living thing.
Yeah.
Doing just tons of different jobs, from digesting food to fighting off those nasty infections.
Yeah, and the video does such a good job of showing how diverse they are. Like enzymes are like tiny chefs breaking down food molecules, and antibodies are like security guards protecting us from invaders. It's mind-blowing.
It is. And here's where things get really tricky, though. Each protein is made up of this long chain of amino acids, and these chains, they fold up into these super complex 3D shapes. For decades, scientists struggled to understand how they do this so quickly and accurately. It's called the protein folding problem.
It's like origami, right? You're trying to fold this single sheet of paper into, let's say, a crane. There are so many ways to fold it, but only one gets you that crane. Now imagine doing that with a chain of like hundreds or even thousands of amino acids.
Yeah, it's not just complicated. It's basically impossible to figure out through just brute force. If you tried every single way a protein could fold, it would take longer than the universe has existed.
Wow.
Yet somehow proteins find their correct shape in just an instant.
Yeah.
And that shape is super crucial because it determines what the protein can do.
Okay, so the stakes are high.
Yeah.
A misfolded protein is basically like a wrench that's bent out of shape. It can't do its job. So how did scientists even begin to tackle this problem?
Well, early attempts relied on things like X-ray crystallography, which was incredibly time-consuming and expensive. It could take years to figure out the structure of just one protein.
Wow. Years for one protein. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was. And all the data from those efforts was collected in this thing called the Protein Data Bank, or PDB.
Oh, yeah, PDB.
It was super valuable, but growing it was a slow and really laborious process.
So even with all that effort, the mystery of how proteins fold remain unsolved, and then AI enters the picture. You mentioned DeepMind earlier, the company behind the AI that beat a Go champion. Well, they turned their attention to protein folding with this program called AlphaFold. What made this program different?
Well, AlphaFold used this revolutionary approach called deep learning.
Okay.
Essentially learned from all the data in that PDB and found patterns and relationships that humans just couldn't see.
Oh, wow.
And when they tested it in a competition called CASP, which is specifically designed to evaluate protein structure predictions, AlphaFold just blew everyone away.
So it wasn't just a small improvement. This was a huge leap forward. What was the reaction like in the scientific community?
It was complete shock. I mean, one scientist in the video even said, it was really a shock. Can it really be that good?
Wow.
I mean, that really captures how big of a deal DeepMind's achievement was. They cracked a code that had stumped scientists for decades.
That's incredible. So AlphaFold was this massive breakthrough, but how does it actually work? I mean, it's using AI, but what's going on under the hood?
Well, imagine you're trying to predict the shape of a protein just based on its amino acid sequence.
Okay.
It's like solving a puzzle, but you only have half the pieces.
Right.
AlphaFold overcomes this challenge by looking for clues in the evolutionary history of that protein.
So it's not just looking at the protein in isolation, but also considering its family tree.
Exactly. AlphaFold searches through these huge genetic databases for similar protein sequences that are found in other organisms.
Oh, wow.
By analyzing how a protein has evolved across different species, he can actually gather valuable information about its likely structure.
That's so smart. So it's using evolution to help solve the folding puzzle.
Yeah.
What happens next?
All of this information is organized into this thing called a multiple sequence alignment, or MSA. It basically shows how the amino acids in the target protein line up with those in related proteins.
Got it. So the MSA provides a kind of evolutionary context, but how does AlphaFold translate that into a 3D structure?
It creates what's called a pairwise representation. Think of it as a map that highlights which parts of the protein are likely to be close to each other in the final folded structure.
So it's creating a blueprint based on both the amino acid sequence and its evolutionary history.
Right.
But we're still talking about a ton of data. How does AlphaFold actually make sense of it all?
This is where the magic of deep learning comes in. AlphaFold uses this powerful neural network, specifically a type called a transformer, to extract meaning from this data.
Yeah.
You might have heard of transformers in the context of language processing, like in chatbots or translation software.
Oh, right, right.
But it turns out transformers are incredibly versatile. In AlphaFold, they're used to analyze both the evolutionary data in that MSA and the spatial relationships encoded in the pairwise representation.
So it's like having a conversation between the protein's evolutionary history and its potential 3D structure.
You got it.
That's amazing. So it's finding patterns and connections that would be impossible for a human to spot. That's so cool. So the transformer does all the heavy lifting.
Well, it does the heavy lifting of analyzing the data, but the actual structure prediction happens in another module called, appropriately, the structure module.
Okay.
This module uses all the insights from the transformer to generate a 3D model of the protein.
So it's like a multi-step process, analyze the data, generate a model, and then...
AlphaFold doesn't just stop at the first model. It actually refines its prediction through multiple iterations, cycling back through the entire algorithm until it arrives at a final, highly accurate structure. And here's the kicker. It even provides a confidence score for different parts of the structure, telling you how certain it is about its prediction.
That's incredible. So it's not just giving you an answer, it's also telling you how reliable that answer is. It's no wonder AlphaFold caused such a stir in the scientific community. But its impact goes far beyond just solving the protein folding problem, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's opening up entirely new avenues of research. For example, scientists can now use AlphaFold to quickly and accurately predict the structures of proteins they're studying, which can save years of effort.
So it's like having a shortcut to understanding the building blocks of life.
Right.
This must have huge implications for fields like medicine and drug development.
You're right on the money. AlphaFold is already being used to design new drugs, create more efficient biofuels, and develop innovative materials. And this is just the beginning. The video even talks about AlphaFold 3 and RosettaFold, even more sophisticated AI tools that can predict the interactions between proteins and other molecules.
Whoa, this is where things get really futuristic. We're no longer just looking at single proteins in isolation, but understanding how they work together in a complex environment. It's like we've been given a glimpse into the intricate machinery of life.
It's truly a new era of scientific discovery, one where AI is not just a tool, but a partner in unlocking the secrets of life. But as with any powerful technology, there are important questions to consider. What does this mean for the future of research? And what are the ethical implications of being able to design new proteins? These are the things we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive. So stay tuned, because we're about to get even deeper.
Yeah, it really is remarkable. We have this incredibly powerful tool that can just unlock the secrets of protein structures and their interactions. It's like having a key to this hidden world.
It definitely feels like a new frontier in scientific discovery.
Yeah.
But like you said, with this new power comes new questions. Like the video mentioned that CASP, the competition that showcased AlphaFold's abilities, is having to rethink its role. What do you think the next challenge will be for these researchers? Well, now that predicting individual protein structures is becoming kind of routine, the focus is shifting to even more complex challenges. It's about understanding how proteins interact with each other, how they function within like the super busy environment of a cell, and even how we can design totally new proteins with specific purposes.
So it's like moving from a solo performance to a full-blown orchestra.
Yeah.
We're not just looking at individual instruments, but how they all work together to create a symphony.
That's a fantastic analogy.
Yeah.
And just like a conductor needs to understand how each instrument contributes to the overall sound, scientists need to understand how proteins interact to create that symphony of life. This involves predicting how proteins bind to each other, how they modify each other, and how they form these complex molecular machines.
And these interactions are crucial for understanding how life works at a fundamental level, right?
Absolutely. They're at the heart of almost every biological process, from how our cells communicate to how our bodies fight off diseases.
This makes me think about drug development. Traditionally, it's been this long and expensive process. But if we can use AI to predict how proteins interact, could that speed things up?
That's one of the most exciting possibilities.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to design drugs that precisely target specific protein interactions. This could lead to more effective treatments with fewer side effects. We could even develop drugs for diseases that were previously considered untreatable.
It's amazing to think about the potential impact this could have on human health. But I'm also curious about other applications beyond medicine. What else could we do with this knowledge?
Well, think about the challenges we face in terms of sustainability and the environment. We could design proteins that can break down pollutants, capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, or even generate clean energy.
It sounds like we're talking about a whole new toolbox for tackling some of the biggest problems facing humanity. But with any new technology, there are always concerns. The video touches on this idea that CASP is having to rethink its role. What kind of new challenges do you think they might come up with given these rapid advancements?
Hmm. It's going to be fascinating to see how CASP evolves. I imagine we'll see challenges focused on designing proteins with specific functions, predicting protein interactions with incredible accuracy, and maybe even modeling the behavior of entire biological systems.
So it's like the competition is pushing researchers to think bigger and bolder. We've gone from predicting single protein structures to potentially modeling entire cellular processes. And with AlphaFold 3 and Fold All Atom coming onto the scene, things are only going to get more interesting.
Absolutely. AlphaFold 3 is already showing its prowess by tackling more complex challenges like predicting the interactions between proteins and other molecules. And Fold All Atom is pushing the boundaries even further by predicting the 3D structures of entire assemblies of proteins and other small molecules.
It's mind-boggling to think about. We're moving from looking at individual pieces of a puzzle to seeing the complete picture. But with all this focus on AI, is there a risk that human researchers might become less important in this field?
That's a great question, and it's something that a lot of people are thinking about. But the truth is, these AI tools are not meant to replace human scientists. They're meant to empower them. They provide incredible insights and accelerate discovery, but it's still up to human researchers to interpret those findings, ask the right questions, and drive innovation.
So it's a collaboration, not a competition. AI and human ingenuity working hand in hand to unlock the secrets of life.
Precisely. Think of it as a partnership where AI provides the raw power and speed, while human researchers provide the creativity, intuition, and critical thinking that are essential for scientific progress.
That makes a lot of sense. AI can handle the heavy lifting of data analysis and prediction, freeing up human researchers to focus on the big picture, to connect the dots, and to ask the really important questions.
Exactly. It's about leveraging the strengths of both AI and human intelligence to create a more powerful and efficient research process. And this collaboration has the potential to lead us to some truly remarkable discoveries.
One thing that struck me while watching the video was the sense of awe and wonder that the scientists expressed when talking about proteins. They described them as microscopic molecular machines essential to life on Earth, and the molecules that do the work. It's clear that they are deeply passionate about their research.
Yeah, it's infectious, isn't it? Their enthusiasm reminds us that science isn't just about data and experiments. It's about the pursuit of knowledge, the joy of discovery, and the thrill of unraveling the mysteries of the universe.
And the story of AlphaFold and the protein folding problem is a perfect example of how science can capture our imagination and inspire us to push the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
It's a story about human ingenuity, technological innovation, and the relentless pursuit of understanding the mysteries of life. And it's a story that's still being written. We're just at the beginning of this incredible journey, and the possibilities seem endless.
It's like we've been given a glimpse into a hidden world, a world of intricate molecular machines that drive all of life's processes. And with AI as our guide, who knows what amazing discoveries await us. But as we continue to delve deeper into this world, it's important to remember that progress is not without its challenges. And one of the biggest challenges we face is ensuring that these powerful technologies are used responsibly and ethically.
You're absolutely right. The ability to design new proteins to manipulate the building blocks of life raises some really profound ethical questions. And these are questions that we need to address head-on as we move forward in this new era of scientific discovery.
So as we enter this new frontier of protein research, it's not just about the science, it's about the responsibility that comes with it. It's about ensuring that these incredible tools are used for the benefit of humanity and the planet.
And it's about having these open and honest conversations about the potential risks and benefits of this technology. We need to engage with the public, with policymakers, and with each other to ensure that we are steering this powerful engine in the right direction.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's explore these ethical considerations in more detail. What are some of the potential risks we need to be aware of? And how can we ensure that these powerful tools are used for good? Stay tuned, because this is where our journey gets even more thought-provoking. So we've talked about all this amazing potential of AI in protein research, but as we go deeper into this world, it's important to talk about the ethical stuff too. With such groundbreaking technology, it's important to think about that stuff.
Yeah, you're right. It's like we've been given this awesome power to change the very building blocks of life. And with great power comes great responsibility, as they say.
Totally. So let's talk about some of these ethical concerns. What are some risks we should be thinking about?
Well, one of the biggest worries is that there could be unintended consequences. When we design new proteins, it's kind of like introducing something totally new into these complex biological systems. And it's really hard to know for sure how these new proteins will interact with like the stuff that's already there, organisms and ecosystems.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like bringing in a new species into an environment. You just don't know how it's going to mess with the balance of everything.
Exactly. And with proteins, it's even trickier because they're so important to how everything works. A tiny change at the molecular level could have huge effects on a whole organism or even an entire ecosystem.
So how do we deal with that? How do we keep things safe and responsible when we're doing this protein design?
It's complicated. There's no easy answer.
Yeah.
But one thing we can do is make sure we have really good testing and safety rules in place. Before we let any designed protein out into the world, we got to test it really well.
Right.
Do a lot of studies in the lab, try to see how it acts in different environments, and watch carefully for any bad effects.
So basically, we got to be super careful and use data to figure out the risks. But what about people using this technology for bad stuff? Could someone make dangerous proteins with this?
Yeah, that's a real possibility that we can't ignore. Like any powerful technology, protein design can be used for good or bad. And as this technology becomes easier to use, we have to talk about how to stop people from using it for bad stuff and how to make it safe.
That makes me think about other technologies that can be used for good or bad. Like we can use the same knowledge to make life-saving medicines or to make really harmful things. How do we figure that out?
It takes a bunch of different things.
Mm.
We need to make sure scientists are thinking about ethics when they're doing their research.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to have clear rules about developing and using protein design technology. And we got to be open and honest with the public about the potential risks.
It sounds like transparency and communication are super important here. It's about building trust and making sure that we use these technologies to help everyone.
Absolutely. And that means listening to different people and groups. We got to think about how protein design might affect society and the environment. And we need to make sure it's fair and just for everybody.
So it's not just about the science itself, but about doing things the right way.
Yeah, exactly. It's about knowing that scientific progress isn't just about discovering new things. It's about using that knowledge wisely and responsibly.
This has been such a cool journey, learning about proteins and how AI is changing everything.
It has been.
We've seen how AI is helping us understand these tiny building blocks of life, and we've talked about how protein design could help us solve big problems in the world.
Yeah,
But we also know that we got to be careful. Think about the ethical stuff and make sure this technology is used to make things better for everyone.
absolutely.
So to everyone listening out there, the future of protein research with AI is really exciting, but it's up to all of us to make sure we're doing things the right way. We got to keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep talking about these things because ultimately the future of science is in our hands. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.